might not want mine on.
Good afternoon. We will go ahead and get started while staff is printing some additional documentation. We'll go ahead and get started. Today is Thursday, April the 10th, 2025. The time now is 5:48. Ms. Durst, would you please call the roll, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Page?
Here.
Councilman Brock?
Here.
Councilwoman Fripp?
Here.
Councilman McHenrick?
Here.
Mayor Griffin?
Here. Thank you, ma'am. Was notification and posting of the meeting agenda posted according to state law?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. Be looking for a second.
Second.
Second made. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. At this time, please join Councilwoman Page for the Pledge of Allegiance in the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Dear Heavenly Father, we give thanks for today, this beautiful weather, and for allowing us to be here this evening and work through for our town and our citizens. May all of us be able to go home and rest easy, knowing that we've done good for our town. In your name we pray, amen.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, we will move to item F. It's council member remarks. I'll start with Councilman McKendrick.
I'm good, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Fripp.
Same.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one quick congratulations. Be sure to pick up your copy of The Voice because Ms. Ball won the Jim Davenport Award for Excellence in Government Reporting. So big congratulations to Ms. Ball. Don't spend that $1,000 all in one place unless it's Disney. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Page.
59, I believe what we would like to talk about is listed as a discussion item for the agenda tonight, so.
Thank you, ma'am. And no remarks from myself. We'll move on to the discussion item. Before we move to that discussion item, just so that we are keeping up with time for the budget workshop this afternoon, and that we give all members of council, including the public, I am going to make room for the public if there's any comments from the public on this discussion. I'm just going to move to, in order to maintain order and efficiency, I'm setting a time limit of 20 minutes for us here as a body for this discussion of this agenda item this afternoon. But definitely the public, you are welcome to make comment on that. There's no secrecy, nothing to hide. We're just trying to stay efficient in how we move and keep these meetings in order.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, discussion item.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. All right, you're proposing a 20-minute limit on discussion item A?
Yes, sir.
Quick question for our parliamentarian, Mr. Balthazar. We don't have any previously established rules regarding limiting discussion. Is that something that he could unilaterally do? Or would that be something that council would need to do, suspend some sort of rules or approve that? I'm just curious. We've never had a restriction before.
Well, like you say, I'm not aware of a rule one way or another on time limits, but as the presiding officer of the meeting, I think that there are some inherent powers to run the meeting and keep the meeting running. But you know, I mean, if there's some motion to by the body to exceed those limits, maybe that would be possible. But without giving it more study, I mean, I think that seems like a reasonable thing for the presiding officer to be able to do, unless there's some will of the body otherwise.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And like I said, this is not censoring anyone, this is just keeping our meetings in order so that we're not running way over time when we do have other agenda items, and giving respect to staff that's here that may need to present in the public as we were made aware in the past meeting. All right, discussion item A, discussion of recent incident requiring law enforcement response and possible juvenile curfew ordinance. Pete, do you want to start off with the general overview where we at from a legal standpoint with the curfew?
I certainly can, Mr. Mayor, but I mean, I don't really, as you know, I kind of shy away from giving any legal advice in open session unless there's some waiver of any privilege. I mean, so I'm not sure what the council or what Mr. Mayor is looking for right now from me. I mean, I can say I know of at least 4 municipalities in South Carolina right now that have juvenile curfew ordinances on the books, have been on the books for a long time. I don't think there's been any challenge to them. There is a Fourth Circuit opinion from 1998 out of Charlottesville, Virginia, that upholds a juvenile curfew in Charlottesville. So there is I guess a precedent for juvenile curfews and their validity, but there are also other opinions around the country that do not share that same opinion that the Fourth Circuit does. I mean, I think there are things that need to be considered, and maybe that would be a better thing to discuss in executive session. I think there are things to be considered before entering or before enacting a juvenile curfew ordinance.
Yes, sir. Oh, excuse me. Yes, sir, and I would, but I'm going to give members of council a chance to discuss this, but I would like to at some point enter into an executive session if it's the will of the body, so that you can update us on those things.
Certainly.
All right, this discussion is open for members of council.
Yeah, Mr. Balthazar, you mentioned 4 municipalities. What are those 4 municipalities?
Well, the ones I'm aware of are Rock Hill,
City? Yep.
Myrtle Beach,
Also a city?
City of Columbia, and Greenville.
So basically the 4 largest cities in the state, more or less.
I guess.
Rock Hill, Myrtle
Greenville.
Beach, Columbia, and Greenville.
There may be others. I will admit those are 4 that my law clerk was able to find when I tasked my law clerk with surveying Muni Code and trying to find curfew ordinances.
And it's well known that all 4 of these municipalities also carry their own police department. So
I think that's correct.
yeah, so enforcement is not a question.
And I will say that Rock Hills has been on the books since 1981, I believe. And I reached out to an attorney in Rock Hill that I know, who is either him or his firm have been town attorneys in Rock Hill, and he didn't have any insight on Rock Hills. I mean, it's been on the books for so long, but he didn't have any insight on how it's enforced or whether it's enforced or how it came about. But I will mention also that in Rock Hill, when it was passed in 1981, there was a fairly detailed legislative findings included in the ordinance, which appears that Rock Hill had studied the issue and had done, I guess, some preliminary work prior to enacting the ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion, further discussion from members of council? If hearing none, I seen someone, and I hate pointing people out, but I'm sorry, Mr. Sharp. Yes, sir. If you wouldn't mind, I know that your store received some damage from the incident. Could you just give us some light, shine some light on that for us? Help us understand the totality and the imprint on your business and your employees. I'm sorry, sir. Could I get you to the mic? My audio folks are pointing at me.
From what I'm able to understand, around 1:30, there was a group that actually started congregating over at the Waffle House in that group, and then there were some that were on McNulty in the back behind the Exxon, and there were some at the gas pumps, and as a matter of fact, the clerk at the Exxon had to close the store because so many people were coming in. They were doing a lot of shoplifting, things of that nature. So for their safety, they went ahead and locked the door. Then outside, our video showed 3 or either 4 individuals with handguns outside. And then they started to shoot. And then there were some others around that went behind the dumpster. And I think they were returning fire back in there before everybody started to scatter and leave. And it just is very disruptive to a business. You can imagine employees inside and having the window shot. So it's mighty disruptive there. And we've had crowds up there. This is kind of an ongoing thing. This has happening over the last 4 or 5 months. And primarily on the weekends, you'll have a crowd that starts developing, I guess, through social media. Then you have more and more just to show up. And it just kind of gets out of hand.
Yes, sir. Curfew. How do you feel about if we impose a curfew as the town? How do you feel about that and being one of the leading business owners in town?
Well, I think the curfew would do, but there again, as Councilman Fox said, I think you're gonna have somebody to enforce it and be there and know when the events go on. Like you said, you've got the prom coming up, graduation or whatever, and it seems like after these events is when the crowds start to gather and they can communicate and then everybody starts to show up. But if we could disperse the crowds before they get to the number they are, at times we'll have some that will come in and actually shut down the business because there'll be so many up over the gas pumps and just get out and conversation continues on and we can't have customers in there when these big crowds get there. So I don't have a real answer for that other than trying to disperse the crowds, keep them from loitering, and just maybe have to make an example out of some of them. I think would be the best thing to do.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sharp, what time do you close? What time does the Sharp Shop close?
The Exxon's open 24 hours.
24 hours. And the BP across the street
We close at 11
at 11.
over there. And we use the Exxon primarily for the interstate traffic there.
Sure.
And so yeah, some of the crowds were understandable around the hotels too, during that night. So it was pretty chaotic scene. Could have been a lot worse.
Yes, sir. Any questions for Mr. Sharp?
I don't have any question for Mr. Sharp. I'm glad that your employees are safe.
Yes.
Um, There's only a handful of, this isn't a problem obviously during the day. And it seems to be the most recent two incidents evolved around specific events that occurred when the sun went down. Movies in the park, in my opinion, not that bad. You got some teens together, they got into a fight. Okay, that happens. Oh, we have an example here. Obviously, the incident that took place in downtown, the downtown area is much worse, involved guns. This isn't something that happens as a regular occurrence in Blythewood, and I do think it centers around opportunities for teens to come together and gather, like prom, which was that night. There may be little known, thank you, Councilwoman Page. There was also an additional shooting in a neighborhood behind Lake Ashley. And I don't know if people are familiar with that or not, but there was. And I believe that sprung up from probably a disagreement at some sort of house party or pool party. I see a member in the audience shaking her head. I think that's about right. I don't have a lot of the details, but that was information that was passed on me from someone who lives in Lake Ashley. Actually, two people that live in Lake Ashley, around 1 a.m. approximately when that happened. But the key driver in all of this is that there was some event that brought kids out into the community. Past Saturday night was prom. The one before that was movies in the park. The time before that was the Rockin' Red, White, and Blue. So, I'm not going to speak out against a curfew, but I'm not sure that that's the best method to accomplish our goal. I don't know, I don't foresee, I wouldn't think that there'd be any issues moving forward at Movies in the Park simply because that event is on Richland County's radar now. The sheriff knows that there's going to be an event, and they know that there's potential for disruptions, and so they're either going to have staff security here or we're going to have it. Okay? Does that does that discourage congregation of youth? Probably. We didn't have, I guess we didn't have any security that night because we'd never experienced anything like that in 4 years. That's not anybody here's fault. That's not anybody their fault. It's just something, something happened. You operate a business that's open 24 hours a day. Waffle House is open 24 hours a day. A couple of hotels are open 24 hours a day. Those are going to be the spots where if somebody's going to gather, those are going to be ones where they're going to gather. So if we know where they are potentially going to be, and we know the dates where they're going to be out, you tailor a plan around in making sure that there's adequate law enforcement or at least somebody watching those areas. I don't think hiring some deputies, that's just not a plan. We got to have a better plan. I don't think passing an ordinance and having no enforcement mechanism is a plan because we can't afford to have Richland County taking deputies off the other parts of the street and have them patrol Blythewood on the off chance there's some teenagers loitering or gathering on some random night. Specific nights, maybe. Overall, that's just not a plan. Again, we can pass all the ordinances we want, but do they have any teeth? Can we enforce them? That's where this body's going to have to get.
I believe we could disperse some of the crowd so large that I think that would help a lot. You know, we get 6, 8, 10. Then once you get more than that, it's hard to control them because they just going in all different directions. Yeah. And I'm not sure they have respect for law enforcement or anything else at this time. That seems to be an issue. My question is, why are these teenagers out at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning? Where are the parents? Are they not taking care of these children? Yeah, I don't understand that. But anyway, I'm from the old school.
Well, that was a question that was pondered by the sheriff.
Yes.
Parents have to step up, but if they don't,
well, I think he's set an example with some things in Columbia where he's charged the parents, and they've acted a certain time and been step in the direction to correct some of the loitering from these kids, so.
All right, thank you, sir. And-
If I may?
Yes, sir.
I think I'm going to come at this from a slightly different perspective than Councilman Brock. I believe you can't hold the Blythewood community hostage by groups of clearly 200-plus teenagers at a place of their choosing and a time of their choosing, when we have citizens that live here and call this home. Mr. Sharp runs businesses here, some 24 hours a day. The Waffle House runs a business 24 hours a day. And Mr. Sharp just said, there doesn't have to be an event around why these people gather. They just choose to start gathering. So if we're going to if our goal is to disperse a smaller group of people, that can only be done through Richland County Sheriff's Office. So that would be a 911 call from a local business saying we have teens gathering. Well, teens gathering is not against the law unless we pass an ordinance that has teeth of a curfew. We're in an intergovernmental agreement with Richland County for our policing and our emergency management. Movies in the park. That was the call, and Councilwoman Page can attest to it. The call was, can you please send some deputies? We have teens gathering. And Ms. Page, I don't know if I'm words in your mouth, but from our conversation, the response was, well, is it a dangerous situation? It's a public event, and you're telling me there are teens gathering. Is it a dangerous situation? What would prevent the 911 operator from asking Mr. Sharp's clerk the same thing before 5 handguns are pulled out and it turns into what we saw posted from a Waffle House security camera, which, and we had dealt with this in this community for, I'm going to say 4 days. I don't know the exact amount of time between Sunday morning at 2 and the time that Waffle House footage hit from the sheriff's deputy's office. But you want to talk about an eye-opening situation for a Blythewood town councilman? That looked like something from the south side of Chicago. And there was a person struck by a bullet. We are very blessed and fortunate that no one was killed. And there are hotels there that are open 24 hours a day that, yes, visiting the town of Blythewood are staying in. So we owe it to our businesses, our residents, and the law-abiding citizens. If parents, to Mr. Sharp's point, if parents aren't going to parent, we need the tool in place where we can reference an ordinance when we call Richland County Sheriff's. There is a curfew and they're breaking curfew. And I think that is the tool that we use to keep 50, 60, 70, 200 teenagers from gathering. It's really surprising to me that no one from a Waffle House or a hotel or any other business hadn't called 911 prior to that when the magnitude of teenagers, I mean, it's just mind-blowing to me. So I differ. I think we do need an ordinance that establishes a curfew so we have something to reference when we call the sheriff's department, very much like Ms. Page did on Movies in the Park night. Of course, it would have been before the hours of the curfew, I believe, and said, we have teens gathering here and I'm concerned. Ms. Page, you may want to speak to that because you made that call. That was a conversation that I recollect that we had.
So a couple of things, I know Sheriff Lott was here the other night. Certainly, it looks as though he is definitely supportive of the town and providing services to our town and our citizens. However, with this ordinance that's being proposed, has Richland County reviewed it?
So
Has,
Go ahead. No.
has Mr. Balthazar even seen a review?
Hold
of
on
this?
one
I'm so
second.
sorry.
Hold on 1 second. This was, an example. Legal has it, Sheriff Lott has a copy right now. It's been vetted through, his department to see about the enforcement side of it. We do have an agreement with Richland County, Sheriff's Department. That agreement was put in place, February 13th of 23. It was signed by the current mayor at that time, but we don't have a signed copy on record for the town. Sheriff Lott and myself had a conversation prior to that draft ordinance that supports exactly what the sheriff has been pushing throughout the county, holding parents accountable. Not only that, this draft ordinance also proposed some protections through the civil process to our business district in there. But it is going through legal right now. Don't want to go into a whole lot of those details. The sheriff's department is looking at that is to see how they can enforce it, or what else do we need to add in there. At that time when they send it back, we would definitely have this conversation, and it would be probably more likely a live ordinance. Here's the beauty of going that route. The sheriff, in his exact words, and we all know Sheriff Lott, he's gonna speak his mind, he's gonna tell you exactly like it is that we will enforce it. We need to work together, and that's what we're doing right now. We're working together. Yes, sir, I'm aware. Just giving respect to each one of you all, that we are aware of that, so they will enforce that once we have it and it's vetted through them. So this is a to be continued piece with the draft ordinance. And Pete has looked at it and redlined some stuff and
Yeah,
done that.
and I have some suggestions as well. Like, there are kids, teenagers, responsible teenagers that may be working at a couple of these places. I don't know that that's in
Yes,
the
ma'am, it
clause.
is. It's in section 3 exceptions.
Yeah, I only saw the first three. But I do feel as though we've got to take some kind of initial step with regards to this and show that it's not going to be tolerated in our town. This whole, what I saw on the movie night was a mob. It was a mob of kids, and it shifted quickly, and it continued to grow. And so therefore, and I've heard about other instances out in the parking lot of businesses such as off of McNulty Road. So we do need to take some kind of first step with regards to this, show that we are seeing and hearing and certainly feeling what they're doing to us and our businesses and our citizens. So yes, if we, the sooner the better, and some kind of commitment with regards to when people do call 911 dispatch, what is it that our business need to say to the dispatcher? Because I was caught off guard when I do not call 911 on the regular, thank goodness. And so I was caught off guard with regards to what kind of questions they were asking me in order for them to evaluate if whether or not the need for police to come or sheriffs to come to the park. So I do think we need to convey to our business owners, if they do call here in such a case, here are the types of questions that you're going to be asked. So
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
and I know you're sticking to your 20 minutes, but I just want to add for the public, I mean, I don't know about other members of council, but I've been contacted 4 times by media outlets, various television stations, newspapers, and I have no comment at all of them that this event happened Sunday morning, roughly 2 o'clock. And this is the first time this council is having a meaningful conversation about what happened. And we have a 20-minute time limit to do so. Something has to change. Inaction is action, in my opinion. If we fail to act, we're acting, we're sending a message. So if the ordinance, the draft ordinance that we were just
Thank you, sir. And let me make sure that I recap this, that nothing was hidden from you guys.
I'm not
The
saying
com-
you hit it, we didn't have it, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
sir. And this was meant to discuss in executive session, but I just moved forward to let the conversation mellow across the table with this. That's hence why legal didn't go into the legalese of this thing in the beginning. We were going to discuss this in executive session, but we put it out here in the open. We are working on it.
Mr.
The
Mayor.
sheriff's,
Yeah, yes, sir, Mr. This is your agenda. There's no executive session on it. So
yes.
if it was your intent to discuss an ordinance drafted to discuss, would you not have put it, your executive session request on the agenda? My frustration just continues to build. I'm not looking for a knockdown, drag out fight. I'm looking to assist the business owners and the residents of Blythewood with action, open, honest, transparent, and we don't have it. We just simply do not have it. Cindy, do you get more comments on this? The 3 postings you put on your thread got more I found more facts out about what happened Saturday or Sunday morning at 2 o'clock than I did from our mayor. So, I appreciate what you're saying, Sloan, but there's no executive session on here, so is somebody gonna move to have an executive session? And if we're going to, we should know that before we approve the agenda.
Thank you. No problem. Sure, if you got a comment.
How you doing? Good. All right. As your neighbor, all right, I have 2 sons that go to school. They're 17 right here in Blythewood. I'm here as a concerned citizen of Blythewood. I'm very concerned about what's going on right here in Blythewood. My concern is before these children are so fast. Their social media, really mob attacks. They plan and plot so quickly, and we are coming up on summer, okay? Y'all gotta get blessed. Summer is rapidly approaching. Stuff carries over so quickly. Fights that start at school is carrying over into the community. It's happening so fast. Stuff that's going on at Blythewood High School, Westwood, Ridgeview. If they fight at school, they're gonna get suspended. They're gonna get arrested. So they're bringing it to other little pockets. They can't have a gun on campus at school because they can't get it through the metal detectors, y'all. I see my son's text messages because they're under parental controls. Mine ain't, they weren't out there, okay? If it's not sports or church or something that's going on, you've seen them in town hall. It's my job to parent. So the concern is they act so quickly. We've seen them in our neighborhood, how quickly they plan a party. We have to have a curfew. It's necessary. Brock, it's necessary that we do something because we're going to lose them. We are going to lose these children because of lack of things and parents, some of the parents, nobody parented them. A lot of them are working, okay? And they never had control of their children. So they're out doing what they want to do. Those children had no business outside Mr. Sharp at 1:30 in the morning. They should have been home with their mamas and daddies, but the mamas and daddies ain't home neither, okay? It's a little bit different, okay? We've got a different generation of people, a different generation of kids, okay? They're raising themselves, all right? So in that type population, we need the sheriff to sheriff. We need the police to police people who are raising themselves, unfortunately, okay? all right? So when it comes to my council, I can't stand to see y'all bickering because we have bigger issues at stake. When people are involved in guns, we have lives at stake, okay? I want to feel safe when I send my boys to the store. That's what got me here tonight. I have good 17-year-old boys, young men, that I send down to the town council to watch you guys do your job every time there's an internship or an opportunity. I want to ask y'all to stop the bickering. Let me see y'all on the same page for a change, and let's get some activity, some positive activity to get us together to enforce what we need to enforce, which is policing the public for the safety of Blythewood. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ethel Johnson, and I'm a resident of Oakhurst subdivision, and I'm here tonight to speak with you, again, as a concerned citizen, and to tell you that I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking that our council is taking a reactive approach to a situation that may get out of hand, may be a situation that we are going to be so sorry that we have not addressed in the manner that we should. Now, I'm just sitting here listening, as I said, as a concerned citizen and as the Homeowners Association president of Oakhurst Subdivision, and thinking about our reactive measures instead of being proactive and coming up with putting some measures in place. I don't know what you guys have as far as that audience, but certain things I'm thinking about. Question number one, what constitutes a large crowd? What number do we have to constitute a large crowd? If we have to have an answer that says that a crowd is unruly, what does that look like? Do we have to wait until the guns are pulled out in order to determine that a crowd has been unruly? Number two, we had a substation before in Blythewood. What is the procedure that we need to put into place to have that to become active once again? It seems that we're waiting for others to do the job for our particular area when we have enough happening here and we have the smarts and the abilities and the talents to determine a plan of action. And it's so disheartening to sit here in this audience and watch the bickering beginning once again. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we are all here for the same reasons. We want Blythewood to be a great place to live. It has always been a great place to live. We want it to remain that way. However, we're going to have to get on the same page. We're going to have to really come up with a proactive plan. We cannot wait to just react to situations that occur. So what I'm asking, I'm coming before you with a plea. Please think about your concerned citizens. Think about the business owners. Think about the residents here in town. Think about all of our students representing all these schools. And I'm a retired educator, so I'm here to tell you, you have to understand this is 21st century. They will announce a party. That party, it will give them 15 minutes. It will take longer to travel here. They will be here. So now we're going to have to think about this. We cannot wait for someone to come to save us because situations quickly get out of hand. So we really have a responsibility now to really think about what we can do proactively. What can we put into place? What rules, what ordinances, what laws can we put into place so that we can address these situations before they become a crisis situation? I don't want us to be a town that reacts to a large gathering after gunshots are fired. If we know these things are happening, then we have a responsibility to do something about it. So again, I come to you pleading as a concerned citizen to be proactive in your measures, to think about what can happen to our young people, to think about all of our businesses in town, to think about all of our concerned residents, because we're all in this together. So again, we beg of you to please stop the bickering. Let's come up with a plan that we can work with, and let's do what's best for our town. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
I was just going to mention, thank you both for speaking up and sharing. It does take a community. It can't be done by neither just one individual or just this table or any of these tables. We got to do it together, to your point. The other thing I would mention is you had Sheriff Lott here the other night, last week, and you're going to be more familiar with the titles, but the officer, Walmsley, that's over the Blythewood area, and he actually lives over in Ashley Oaks, and so he's a resident, and he actually heads that substation. So the substation is actually where they go, but they're patrolling so much that it's usually not housed all the time, right? So he made that clear to us the other night, right, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And, well, I'll let you finish.
No, you go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the substation is open. The substation, Sheriff Lott made a decision sometime this year to change out the captain and the squad there to try to refresh, get some people that do live in this community. So you living, serving in this community. That substation covers from the Monticello side of Richland County, the Newberry County line, all the way back to the Kershaw County line side. So right now, just as we're going to start working on budgets, Sheriff Lott is begging Richland County Council to give him the funds to hire additional deputies. He recognizes, the problem. They're responding to this problem. And he is offering a wide range of resources to us here. We did hold a community forum. We're working on dates. I'm trying to get some dates the sheriff's schedule to get him and his team back out here. And we talked about the advertisement. If whatever we got to do, we're going to make sure that the community is very well aware of that next community forum. This ordinance here was passed out this evening just as that bridge. It's not a hidden agenda. It's not something that was not meant to be put out. I made an effort to send it, just place it here this evening before I got word back from the sheriff, just as a talking note. Side note, if we need to go to executive session, we'll move if there are some detailed questions about this. It's not ready for prime time. The sheriff, when they review this, they will be able to tell us, hey, the most important thing that I heard tonight, can y'all enforce this? That's where it would come down to. Can you enforce it? All right, how will you enforce it? To Mr. Sharp, to the business district, there's a lot of education that has to come with this. We as a policy-making body can pass these policies, these ordinances. We have to rely on those individual agencies to enforce that. We can't physically go out there and enforce and to your point, ma'am, police parent someone's children. But we can set policies and ordinances in place, and that's what we're doing. This is something that we haven't experienced before. So we have to go outside of these doors to bring those subject matter experts in, give them the time to tell us. To your point about the pop-up parties, through the conversations, Ms. Page, just learning about how fast that information travels. I learned this week about websites that's put together from the schools, and then it's like, hey, it's like, come here right now, and then kids show up, and then it disappear. So, just law enforcement is tracking these things. But we, as we build this in, we will get briefed, just as well as I did update council on some things that the sheriff did inform me about the incident. So with that being said, yes, ma'am.
And so because we didn't have a large attendance the other night with Sheriff Lott, maybe we need to strategize how we can be more effective, and perhaps like at your next HOA meeting, we talk about these things that's happening, perhaps at the churches there's an opportunity, let's go to the People Wednesday next evening meeting or whatnot. But I really think that perhaps instead of asking people to come here all the time, maybe we go out as well as to like the chamber meeting that we, the galas this month, but next month. I mean, we always get a town report. That's where I know I was new to the town, but I loved going because I always learned something new about our town, or I knew what was going on because they gave reports on a monthly basis. Like, we need to lock our cars and not leave firearms in our cars. Make sure you take out the garage opener, just the basic things. But I'm thinking maybe that might be some of the planning as well. So.
Yes, ma'am. And the sheriff's department do go out to communities. They do have a list of HOAs. They do that and do the same thing they do in the chamber meetings. Some of them don't meet as regular as others. There's some in this community meet every month, but they do go out and update the community on those things. And those are the things that the sheriff, talked about, that they're always, their CAT team is responsible for that. But the captain here, Captain Walmsley, do go out personally to those communities as well. So it's a multi-level approach. It's not just us. These are ongoing operations that they're doing, and the sheriff will get back with some dates that we can do a bigger forum here. Okay? All righty. You need, okay, yes, ma'am.
Rich, I know you've seen on there where everybody's calling now, we've become the Blythewood. We're the hood, we're the ghetto. That is the farthest thing from the truth I've ever heard. I mean, it's been all around us all this time, but it's just now getting here. I mean, it's been happening. Why are we just now waking up to it? Because there was gunfire. Something should have been done a long time ago. It's coming here because the kids and the internet is just busting. It's busting, it seems. It's bringing them all here. But my question is, would it even be possible to put no loitering, no parking after so-and-so hours over there in the parking lot? Of the, over there in the back parking lot? So obviously they're not paying those no attention either. But I mean, it's like Waffle House. Do they have a max capacity of how many patrons one time?
They have a fire code.
Yes,
But
Huh?
they have a posted number, but you also have to look at it from the perspective of a business owner. You're not gonna run off business, so.
When you got 150 kids right at 100 kids in there, that's a problem. How are they gonna get out? Catch
I don't think, but I don't think there was 150 people inside Waffle House. I just don't think you could fit 150 people inside. They were in the parking lot. I've seen whatever that video was, I think was that from the Waffle House?
that's from, yes, Waffle House.
I don't want anybody to,
go ahead, sir.
I don't want anybody to mistake my earlier comments that I'm anti-curfew, because I'm not. It doesn't do the public any good to pay you lip service if we put something on the books and then there's nothing that backs it up. There are other parties that have to be involved in this conversation. You said Richland County Sheriff's Department. Richland County Council has to be involved in this. I've spoken to several officers, and the response I get is this: their resources are stretched so thin that loitering is not a priority. As you mentioned in Region 6, over at Kershaw, back over to Newberry, we're a small piece in Region 6. Yeah, there have been a couple of instances that have happened recently that's kind of got everybody's eyes wide open. But granted, if you look back over the last 5-10 years, Blythewood hasn't really been a problem. But I understand that it's a problem now, or at least it's on everybody's radar now. So there's more than just this body passing a curfew to resolve the problem. There's more than just putting a couple extra deputies out there. Ms. Johnson, I live in Oakhurst. What I took away from your comments were, we need a plan. a plan, not just put a couple of deputies out here, pass a curfew. That's not a plan. Those are Band-Aids, and I hate to say this, those are Band-Aids on bullet wounds. We need a plan, a holistic plan that incorporates all stakeholders, us, Richland County Council, Richland County Sheriff's Department, the community. Then you actually have something that has some teeth that you can actually enforce.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's
what we
do
gotta
it.
get.
We're sitting here talking about, let's put it into action like right now. Let's get Richland County, let's get the Sheriff's Department, let's get the community, let's all do it. Because as I said on Facebook, and Rich, you know this, I've said it takes the community. One man, one person has not done this. They have not brought this here, and one man can't fix it.
And
It's going to take our community. It's our kids and my grandkids. My kids are grown. My grandkids are here now. You know, it's never been like this, but it's life. We can't change it, but we can stop it. You know, we can stop it from coming here. We can try to take care of it. But like you said, let's get a plan. Let's put it into action. That's what we're here for. Let's do it.
And it's on everybody's radar.
I mean, everybody's been talking about it. It's all over social media. You've seen all the posts out there. Where they at? Everybody's complaining that nobody's here. I mean, it's over and over again. And y'all know, I've posted this stuff. I keep letting everybody know. I share everything I can, all the information I can. And here we go. What do we got? You think as a grandmother that I'm not upset? I raised my kids here. I've got 2 grandkids here now. I could have the night. But you know what I did? I picked up the phone and I called the mayor because I was scared I lost my grandchild. What did he do? He comes out in the middle of the night to help me. Now, would I say this? I would have never said this if it hadn't been for what's going on right now in the shooting. Nobody would ever know what happened, but it did happen. But he was there for me. He will be there for you. He's going to stand beside you no matter what you do. You go to him, you want something, you call him, you text him, you email him. That's just who he is. Until you take the time to get to know him, don't pass judgment. I mean, I don't know Rich, I don't know all of them as well as I do Swamp because I talk to him. I go to town hall, I sit down, I have a conversation. I get to, yeah, and that's just how it is. So, and I'm sorry.
No.
But I mean, it hurts my heart to know that that could have been my 4-month-old grandchild that was right there on McNulty. Am I right? And I'm shaking my head. And so when I say this hits home to me, yeah, it hits home real good. And that's why I say there's got to be some kind of capacity or something that we can do. When you see these kids coming in, you see these cars that they're parking, that they're parking up there and they're just sitting there, they need to go. They need to go. So how do we do that? How do we make them leave? Because they're going to come in here, they're going to get in the parking lot, and they're going to sit there. And if it's not here, where are they going to go? They're going to go somewhere else. If we run them off here, then that's somebody else's problem. So that plan you're talking about, let's do it. Let's put it into action. We're in. All right,
It's gotta make sense.
I mean, where do we start? I mean, what do we do? This is the start. Okay, but I mean, how are we going to get this community in here? Get this community in here? I understand, but what I'm saying is, how are we going to get the community involved? This isn't the community. That's my point. How are we going to get the community involved?
Ms. Barrett, I mean, all you can do is ask. We can have meetings, we can do mailers, we can run ads in the newspaper. I mean, perfect example. Was having a conversation with somebody on Facebook today. I rarely comment on Facebook because I don't want to come across as being lecturing or demeaning because sometimes people think that that's how I am and maybe sometimes I am. But the response I got was, I had a prior obligation, I can't be there. You know, I can't do anything with that. If we properly advertise, and we do we not, Mr. Mayor? All our meetings,
Yeah.
the sheriff's, the Wednesday night sheriff thing, I know that was out there for at least
was
2
out.
weeks.
That was
At
out
least 2 weeks.
Exactly,
Ran in
and you know
multiple
that I
videos.
shared it
On their
over and over
page.
again
Yeah.
and trying to get it
So-
out there. It was in The Voice. I mean, it was everywhere. How did you not see it? Because
So-
you didn't want to. You wanted to scroll on by. And 3 days later, what happens? Thursday to Sunday.
Well, as it was pointed out, the next opportunity I think, would be graduation.
Yeah.
That's in, into May? Sound about right?
Yep.
Spring break is next
Spring
week.
break is next week,
I
so.
understand, but, and we've said in here multiple times, the next opportunity is whenever these teenagers decide the next opportunity is.
Yep.
It's not graduation. It could be tomorrow night if they so choose. So the plan needs to address, I mean, literally, it can be tomorrow night if they want it to be.
So we're chasing a moving
We're
target.
It's all
100%.
moving.
Absolutely.
Yep. Cool. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
morning, so that's a little bit too close. But I think what you mentioned is very in their guns or something in their car, make sure they take it out. That's very important because these kids looking to cannot get a gun out because most of the guns coming from there. So that is very important. What we in our neighborhood do, we're fighting for now we can. In the northeast area, period. But I think you start here by coming together, talk to your neighbor, come in meeting. Look up at 2 o'clock in the morning, make sure it's okay and everything. I think that is very important, and I think what you're doing and at least listening to all of them is awesome. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And any other discussion from this body? Ms. Page?
I just think like a conclusion and next steps for us.
I was just about to.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, I tried to watch online and couldn't hear because the microphone's not working. And I just really want to beg you guys, as being part of 2025, that we really want to be inclusive to everyone who, can't make it. Have a daughter who's in soccer practice, dropped her off, came here, have to run back in a minute. My kids are 14 and 12. If I was the mom of a little kid, I would love to be on my phone watching this and maybe having a mediator that could take questions, ask you guys on behalf. I work in an office where we have that opportunity, so I know it's out there and maybe it's expensive, but there's all sorts of things. There are so many people that care. We can't all be here. And I don't want you to think that people aren't caring. My group of people that I'm surrounded by, we definitely care. And I get texts from other people in the area saying, can you believe this happened in Blythewood? No, I can't believe it. And I want my 14-year-old, my 12-year-old, they're not at 1 a.m., but I want them to go to movies in the park or another event and this happening. So I would really beg you to try to find some technological way to include more people in the community, because I want to be here more. I just can't and have to run pick up a kid from soccer practice. So please keep that in mind in your planning.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Again, I'm just saying, thank you all very much for what you do. Bottom line is, Michael, so, and it has no, Michael is changing exponentially. Look at what 10 years ago, look at it, look at what's going to be. But I was on Capitol 12 years ago. We looked in. Act 388, which is what meant like the for 1 year, the Act 388 was passed. Therefore, therefore, you can't add more than 15% of zero is still zero.
looked into it, and we got an Attorney General's opinion in that the Act 388 would not totally prevent us from raising revenue because of the unintended consequences of that act along those lines. They thought that we could beat that and add money back into it for the operation of the town. The problem that we backed away from it was because if you raised the money and you didn't have the opinion done for it, you'd have to end up refunding the money to the citizens along those lines. This town spent a lot of money on attorneys. And I think the town will look into the Act 388 because the law prevents you from raising money to do things like protecting citizens. I can't believe there's any court in this country, particularly in South Carolina, that wouldn't agree that you can't raise money for the benefit of protecting citizens. And I know that the town of James Island was incorporated after the 388 was passed. They have a village. I think the town of Valentine was done the same way. So I would suggest that you spend money with your lawyers to see if you can't deal with Act 388 to allow you to have enough millage that you can come in and you can fund a police force to protect the town. It'd be what you have, and I don't like to pay taxes any more than anybody else, but if you're spending money for protecting citizens, that's the way I can see that we can do it. You're not going to ever be able to depend on Richmond County to come in. I think they have a purchase here all the time. It's going to allow you to have that purchase here. The visibility of law enforcement in town is what's going to turn the tide.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add,
Yeah, but
why is this microphone going in and out? Anybody answer that question for me? Why? No, that's not all, I'm sorry. Now, it helps if you turn them on, right? Okay. Well, let's just, all right, let's do this. We'll hold it up here.
are you going to say something?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Just,
counsel. Go ahead, sir.
all right. Just want to add a little color because saying Blythewood needs its own police force is a very easy statement to make, and it very well may be true. I'm looking at the Forest Acres 2024-25 proposed budget. They have a $10 million budget. Their police force is 45% or $4.5 million of their budget. As it currently sits right now, we can't put enough taxes on the citizens to raise enough money to start a police force. So, until that happens, as much as I hate to say this, I don't think that's a viable option. I Googled earlier today how many households are in Blythewood. It's a hair under 2,100. You're talking to start a police force, $15 to $20 million. That's 10 grand per household. Could we get some grants? Maybe. I don't. Mr. Driggers might could comment on that, but we're not here for that conversation. But he ran City of Greer for 25 years, ballpark. You had your own police force. It's expensive, isn't it? And it would cost a lot to start it up. Way more than it would cost to maintain and operate it on an annual basis. So until we either annex, actually wanted to use a swear word there, but I'm not going to, a lot of businesses into the town to increase hospitality tax, which we can't use for public safety, and I believe we can use accommodations. I'd have to go back and reread the statute, but I think we can. Until these numbers start creeping up, and they are slowly creeping up. But I'm not going to sit here and say that, yeah, Blythewood can get its own police force when it's just not fiscally feasible. It's just not right now. We got to work out something with Richland County in the meantime. A what? The only revenue that we'll get from Scout, as far as I know, is business licenses. I can't go into, I don't know all the agreements that Richland County and the state made. I know there was some fee and lieu brought in there. I'm pretty sure there's some exemptions to sales tax, or not sales tax, to property tax. There's some deals that they made at the commerce level that it's not just we institute a millage and all of a sudden Scout's paying us money. I don't think it would be that simple.
What we, let's,
I don't know the answer to that question. All right, well, let me ask him this. When B&W was founded, how much did they pay in property tax?
0.
For how many years? 20?
20.
Guarantee you Scout at least got the same deal, if not better. So we're 20 years behind the 8 ball there, minimum.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. All righty, so any other comments from the public? All right, thank you. To Ms. Page's point, just in a conclusion, closing this up before we move on to item B tonight, we will circle back with Sheriff Lott. We will do, and we already talked about it, we'll do multiple meetings, multiple community meetings. They're going to look at whatever option they can to get out. I wrote down, I think it was your point, ma'am, I'm sorry, the point about virtual. Maybe doing some virtual. I wrote that on my notebook to discuss with them. They have very wide range of capabilities than we do to reach out. They have a lot more money than we do in that budget to reach out to people. So we definitely want to lean in on them and let them lean and reach out. So once we get dates, we will make sure that there's enough time. In between, we'll make sure that there's enough time to advertise. I'm going to call on the media. We need them to advertise it. We need commercials. We need to get it out there as best we can to the public. And to that other note, the business district is not forgotten about in those conversations. Those will be separate line item conversations with law enforcement to offer tips and trades to those businesses as well during that time. So the conversation is there to include the school district in that next layer of conversation, because the schools, to the point when I'm talking to the sheriff, he said the schools have parent square, and y'all that got kids in school know when they send a message, it hit you text message from all that stuff at the same time, so that we can get the word out to the parents. So that's what the sheriff, they have all that. We're gonna let them push that information, that next go around. That's how this body reaches out to those departments, our colleagues, our friends, Richland County. I had several conversations offering, first off, offering apologies to us as a town body, that they are here to support us. It's budget time, and what we need as far as resources. And I said, make sure you give the sheriff's department the money for those deputies. And I think each and every one of us up here would definitely jump in on that. We may need to look at the county to help us jumpstart a police department. We may need our state house representatives and Senate members to jump in on that conversation on how. We know earmarks right now are on pause. That just come out yesterday. But in those conversations, it's a lot of people that have to be involved at the table to put forth the plan. It's great for us to put ordinances, but to one of my colleagues' point, it needs to bite. And that's what the conversation with the sheriff, who's gonna do the biting? Those deputies out there answering those 911 calls. They need to know that the enforcement is here, is on paper, and that everybody stands in solidarity for that. So stay tuned for that. As the sheriff, we work on these dates and what's next for the meeting, and we'll definitely, this is not something that he's sitting on. Most of the time the sheriff messaged me and we working 10, 11 o'clock at night, going back and forth on these different things. So appreciate you all. I think I can speak for the council. We're thankful that, you know, the individual is recovering well, that was shot during that incident. And I safely think I could speak. We don't want this in our town, and I think you all feel the same way. This doesn't belong in our town, and we're going to stand together unified as a community to fight back on this as best we can with the resources and power we have to lead us through this problem that we're seeing. Next item on the agenda is a review by council of the mayor's proposed budget, the fiscal 2025 to 26 budget. And for the sake of...
Mr. Mayor, can we take a 5-minute break?
Yes, sir. All right, let's do a 5-minute break. All in favor of a 5-minute break, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any discussion? No. Any nays? No. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Don't read it.
Don't put me crying on there about my grandbaby. Because that really hurt, you know. That was a scary thing, it really was. And she's only 4 months old, so it could have been bad. It could have been bad, and it was right there on Monocacy at Region 6. You know, and we had just left, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, no. You know, and to think, but I know it's not just happening here. It's happening everywhere. You know, but we're lucky that it's just now coming here. Everybody else has been having this mess go on, you know? You're right. Well, I've been sharing videos. I mean, I don't know if you're in my group. I have the Voices of Blythewood and surrounding areas. Yeah, that's my group. And I don't do all these ads and all this stuff like what Happening Blythewood does. All we put out there is like what's going on, what's happening, the meetings, videos, all this stuff. That's all it is. You know, so and when Sheriff Lott was here, I brought it up when he was talking about the pop-up groups, and I told him, I have a question. He said, what's that? I said, well, it's not really a question. I said, I know a lot of you may not be familiar or don't like Dr. Phil. I said, but last year, Dr. Phil started posting about these pop-up parties. And I asked him, I said, just so that I know, just so I know that we're on the same page, I said, Dr. Phil has his specials, and he's got like 4 videos out there, almost 45 minutes to an hour long. I said, they're doing the pop-up parties. When everybody shows up at that pop-up party, I said, they get there, and then what do? They go to another location and take it over. And then they have all the guns and the drugs and the sex and everything, and it just becomes one big blowout. Mm-hmm. And they're 15, 16, 17-year-olds. Are you kidding me? I didn't even know what a gun was when I was that young. Of course, that was a long time ago. What is it? No, I think I'm going. I was looking to see if it's showing me. Elaine may be on there. She may have approved you already, so I'm looking to see if it's showing it yet. I can't get a good signal in here for whatever reason. But I'll make sure you get in there. All right, thank you.
Be looking for a motion to reconvene after a recess.
So moved. Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. We're back in open session. All righty, next on the discussion is the review by council of the mayor's proposed budget for the fiscal year 25-26. Let's go ahead and start driving this thing. Miss Julie, if you don't mind, take us line item by line item. The objective is council will get through as much as this tonight. And we do have to make other scheduled workshops as we've been talking about. Let's get through this thing line item by line item. If you have a question, let's go ahead and stop and address that line item on those questions. Miss Julie, you ready to drive it?
Can y'all hear me?
Some of y'all, if you have your mics on up here, cut them off so that it doesn't give feedback.
Okay, our first line in the general fund revenue is building permits and reinspection fees. We had decided that that'd be about $150,000 this year. As last year we predicted 200,000, and it's going slowly. Business licenses for inside of Blythewood, we still left at $150,000.
Miss Julie, could you pause for a second? Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Before we keep going, is the budget that was printed the same budget that was emailed to us last Friday evening?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hold that thought.
It is, Brock. I proofed it section by section. It is.
There was one right there.
Okay.
Did you want one?
I
Oh,
gave
you got one?
one.
Here, you can.
You good?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to literally not go line by line.
Okay. So let's do it this way then. Let's go ahead. I'll start with you, sir. What line items do you want to discuss this evening?
I met individually with Councilman Kennedy and Councilwoman Fripp, and then I talked to Councilman Page on the phone. And we kind of just, there were a couple of line items, I don't think there was really anything on the revenue side that spurred questions. Was kind of curious as to why the business license, the first one you went over, and the business license outside Blythewood, why those decreased by 50,000. It's just based on what you see coming in so far.
It's a lot of that is Scout.
Okay, so the prior year was Scout.
Yes.
So those are non-recurring revenues.
And we're getting some in that are some new ones if they get another building or something, but we're not getting as much as we have been.
Okay.
Blythewood business license outside of Blythewood, dropping by 50, that is Scout related as well?
That's Scout related, the outside of Blythewood, because those contractors basically from out of town, it's the contractors being out of town. So that business licenses inside of Blythewood are the ones that we are just getting right now for renewal. The Chubbies and the Sharp Shops and stuff like that. Those are inside of Blythewood.
Okay. Ms. Julie, online, I'm just going to use the last three numbers.
Okay.
064. In the notes, we've got City of Columbia, that's franchise fees. Has there been any movement on that? And if not, can we just take that off?
Yeah, we could take it off. It's just in there to remind us that we need to possibly move on it. I will take it off right now.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Is there any possibility of getting franchise fees for utilities from the City of Columbia? They service about half the town, if I'm not mistaken.
I know I get City of Columbia water and sewer, but I'm out of town.
But Ashley Oaks is. Miss Fripp, do you get a water bill from Fairfield, or do you get it from City of Columbia?
Waynesboro
yeah, Winsboro.
You want to speak? No. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can we go back up to that outside Blythewood business license? If we look back at 23, we budgeted 110, we took in 391.
Mm-hmm.
94, we budgeted 110, we took in 868.
Mm-hmm.
25, we budgeted 400. We're gonna, first, Ms. Julie, is this heading correct, that this was updated as of the end of February, or is it actually the end of March?
It's February,
Why don't we have it at the end of March?
I haven't had time. I just finished my books for March last week, and I haven't had time to put in March yet. In fact, I was gone all day today at a conference.
Well, let me ask you this question. In column G, it says in May 2020, was that supposed to be June?
No,
No?
I just didn't get to it.
Okay.
All right.
What was the answer to that?
The answer was no.
I didn't get to it. I can go back and do it if you want me to now. I've asked for help for many years.
Yeah,
Those numbers aren't gonna change.
I mean, we're not talking about a lot of money, but I would leave that at $400,000. I mean, we did almost $1 million in 24. Some of that was scout, but none of 23 would have been scout. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
I see why they got the 350, because if you take what they received in February divided by 8, and you multiply that by 12, you should.
I understand, but it's April.
The only other question that I saw is on line 099 is a $20,000 revenue system, help offset parking expense. And then on line 097, you got a negative 20,000, transfer to manor. Are those just an offset?
In my accounting, when I make that transfer to the manor that I do every year, it comes out of that 8980 or whatever that fund number is. 8980-097. And I've got a question right now that I have just put on my thing to call Shane and say, that the right number or not? Because we have a 109200 number on page like 9 that number is also taken out of. So that negative 12,000 got taken out, and I need to call the CPA and said, for years I've always used that number, but is it correct? Because it doesn't, I don't think, need to be on this revenue page. I think it needs to be that 109200 on page 9.
Under expenses?
Transfer to manor. 109200, 980.
Yes.
That's where I think.
CIP, which says 40K.
Right, for this year. So I think that's where I need to do that journal entry and probably clear both of those up after this. And I have a question mark on my notes right now to look into that tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
The last comment I had on this was, the manor, which I think that needs to be split out. I think we need to run a separate P&L for the manor, but we can talk about that later. But I want to know, what is the daily operating cost of the manor? Whatever, I want to know, if you add all the expenses up, assuming that there's no revenue coming in, so there's no additional workers needed, just baseline utilities, what is the daily average to just own the facility? When the lights never come on, nobody steps a foot in here. And then I want to see what is the opportunity cost, and this is an estimate, for the town using the facility versus being able to rent it to a third party who will pay fair market value. That's how we're going to determine what the town pays for the manor to make up. Because I think there's a $20,000 town usage. I think that number is low.
It used to be 12.
I know, that's even worse.
Yes.
Yeah,
Move
so
it up.
I think 12 is laughable. 20, I also think is borderline comedic. So if we can figure out what it costs us to if we shut down the manor for a whole year, what would it cost us on a daily basis? And we see how many days we're using it, and then we add some sort of profit factor to it, and then that's what we pay. That's the one thing I want to know from this thing is how much does it cost to operate the manor so that the town actually pays a fair amount. So that doesn't hurt the youth. Yeah, 12 grand was silly. That's all I have on this particular case, Mr. Mayor. I don't
Okay.
know if others
you. Any other comments on page 1? Concerns, issues, recommended changes? All right, thank you, Ms. Julie. Let's look at page 2, and we'll roll with it page by page. On page 2, anything that council sees that gives them pause on page 2. I will note on page 2, if you look at line item 06, 18006, about a quarter down, well, a third down, assistant finance. That is a new position on here. The reason being on that position, I'm not sure if council's aware of some of those potential changes to staff. But we need to plan for those changes to staff and have someone on board to train, cross-train, to get them acclimated before those changes happen.
Repeat that, Mr. Mayor? The
Line
reason
item.
for the assistant finance, the reason for that?
Personnel matter, not to go into too
Right.
many details without executive session, but is to get someone on board to cross-train in our process where our budget before change of personnel.
So $74,000 for an assistant finance?
The assistant finance will turn into the full finance, ma'am. It-
Understood that there's not a bad at, that should be a much reduced number because we already have a finance director. So if there's gonna be personnel changes and we're gonna cross-train, then maybe a quarter. I mean, how much cross-training are we talking?
Not much, sir. The goal is to get someone that is their true background, and sitting in with staff, talking about this with our interim administrator and our current finance director to attract someone to this position with the mass amount of experience that we will need to move forward. All parties at the table felt like that the salary needed to be attractable to that of that person.
So how long are we gonna have an assistant finance person?
Yes.
So
A month.
Understood. I'm not, you take full cost, but a fourth of full cost.
Mhm.
Exactly. So we need a fourth of 74,
Right.
and then,
You said 3 months.
Cross-training.
okay, yeah.
He said 3 months.
So,
We're covered.
So my point there would be if cross-training takes 3 months, you budget for that 3 months, and then in next year's budget, we just keep that 3 months, and that's where you get your salary increase. But to put a $74,000
full
placeholder
salary.
means you got a year of an employee to cross-train, and we've got $160,000 being spent in finance. Can you follow me?
I follow you exactly. What may be more appropriate or more discussion is the 74 number is what gives me more reserve for the next hire. So I think we have to have some capacity there, and then you're gonna, and again, what is that? I don't know that. I don't know what the market's gonna bear for that. Where we're located, we can attract people from a larger market, but it's a larger market. And so we're gonna be, those salaries are gonna be competitive. And so I think there needs to be more dollars there to find and be competitive to get that. Do I think that number would be another 74? No, sir. Because I do think, now, Julie, I'm estimating that a cross-train in about 90 days. You may feel different. You may feel that needs to be more than that, or I don't know the answer to that. But I would like to know your opinion.
At least 90.
At least, yeah, that's for me, at least 90. And so even if we were, let's say that 74 was 100, and we were at 90, it still takes that number in half. Right, right. Okay.
All right, cool.
Is, Mr. Mayor, I guess is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As, how are we doing this? I think is the fair question. We're gonna go line by line and come up with a recommendation?
Yes, sir. So I know Mayor Pro Tem Brock, started it off. I was started it line by line, just to go through it line by line. Mayor Pro Tem Brock, jumped in, and it does make a little bit more sense to go page by page.
Sure. Okay, so if we're on page 2, I think I would start, my first concern would be line 290, 10-4110-290 miscellaneous.
290. Okay, what's your concern with 290? We have 290, Judy.
Is the mark,
Governing body?
Yes, ma'am, 290, miscellaneous.
is the note
Oh, I'm sorry.
cameras, is that still a active note?
I left it there because I don't remember if we had gotten any cameras for this area, because usually that's what it is for the governing bodies in the manor. And I don't recall us doing that, but that's a question mark maybe.
Well, one of the things that stood out is we went back and looked at the current expenditures through the fiscal year and prior year's expenditures. And it never exceeded $9,100 was the most was ever spent in one particular fiscal year. And quite frankly, it barely exceeded 5 in one year and 4,700 in the other. One thing that Councilman Kimmick and I did is for a lot of items, we simply just placed $1 as a placeholder to just keep something on the books, but more so to generate conversation. This was one of those items. And I'll tell anybody, the title miscellaneous gives me great pause. Because who knows what it is? You've got cameras on there, but I don't know if whoever's gonna execute the budget wants to buy cameras or what they're gonna buy.
It used to be the AV Tech was on there in 290.
Okay?
And then I guess the cameras followed that or whatever it was that he needed, so.
Again, this is just simply a budget workshop. It's just a discussion.
Right.
We put $1 on there because it just doesn't tell us anything. And if we want cameras, they're probably gonna exceed $5,000, so we gotta have a competitive bid process anyways.
I need to know where these cameras are and for, I guess.
It was just the audio visual stuff that y'all were doing a year ago or something with this manor and the YouTubes and
So
stuff.
this budget, this budget line item is all the equipment, all the future upgrades and things. I know Jordan's not here this evening, but we still have some work to do on it. Maybe when the fiber line the fiber is ran to this building now. It's just not maybe when that fiber line comes in, it improves a lot of the flow from the meeting YouTube and gets that speed up. So a lot of that line item was used for when we had the AV Tech in the house, paying that part-time salary. Would that salary come out of that one too?
No, just Andrew.
Andrew's salary. Yep, came out of that. And then anytime these cameras break or need replacing, comes off of that.
Yeah, right, Andrew's bill.
Yep.
Because Andrew was not an employee, correct?
Right, contract.
So it was his invoice that came out of that line. Okay, thank you.
I guess my thought process is, I thought we had everything replaced and working, so unless there's service agreements with a vendor, and then my other question is, does any of the, when we rent out the manor, utilize those services as well for their audience or whatnot, in which some of that gets partially, if it's a service agreement and not a previous
contract with the vendor, wouldn't that be split with the manor or what, some kind of?
So, no, we're not aware of that. That was just used as a, line item to buy technology and to pay the invoice to Andrew. Now, I know I heard Mayor Pro Tem Brock talk about him and Councilman McKendrick looking at that maybe $1. Is that where you guys are? I get that. I'm just trying to make note.
Yeah, can we take off the word cameras since?
I just did.
Okay, evidently that line item doesn't have anything to do with cameras.
So council will be good with that at $1 or the current amount? I'm
$1.
just from a discussion. I know we can't
Yeah, for now, $1 until we
put
figure
$1
out.
on that line item, man.
It keeps it open.
I get
Yeah,
that.
well, I just need a point of clarification. If we eliminate something on the budget, Pete, and we came back with a budget amendment, can you add it?
Can you add an account number?
Can you add it to the budget, or is it like if you kept it open at $1, obviously nobody's gonna be able to spend $1 to get anything, but you could always amend that number. If it's at 0, or you eliminate that line item, can you amend the budget and add to it? You can? Okay.
A budget amendment is, everything's back on the table.
Okay.
A budget amendment,
Even a brand new account?
you can create a new account, you can transfer, you can have money in it, take it to 0, you can have 0, I mean, but when you do a budget amendment, it is, you know, that's 2 readings of an amended budget.
Sure.
And you can do anything to that amended budget that you would have done in your original budget.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, I think it's all on the table, but gotta be 2 readings and maybe a public hearing also.
50
Yep.
days apart?
Public hearings required and separation between 2 meetings.
Yeah, we got that updated, Ms. Julie.
I got $1.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right,
Next line item was the 310, expenses, travel, training. Hadn't exceeded, only exceeded $7,000 one year, but most of it's below 4 weeks. We dropped that down to 5.
all right. Ms. Julie, make that 5.
And the other one was memberships, 491. We dropped it down to 7,200 because the numbers to the right came in like at 7,000.
491,
Correct.
and you said drop down to 72.
Where are you at? Oh, 491, got you.
All right, hold on 1 second, let me make sure Julie got
I
this.
got it.
Okay.
I'm just doing my
Uh,
paper.
Question, Mr. Mayor, on 321, the cell phones. Do we have cell phones currently that are not being used?
Yes, sir.
Can we turn those in and reduce our bill? Or give them to somebody else?
I think we need to go that way.
Okay.
Yeah, don't disconnect
I
the,
think people who need a cell phone in the field.
How many you
do
need?
not have.
How many?
I don't know that answer yet because I don't know exactly who has and who doesn't. I mean, I can tell you the one that Daniel had, I'm not using. But it's gonna need to be used.
Right.
So I don't think we get rid of it.
Right.
We've got certain positions in the city, that we are asking them to do things with phones. We're asking them to take photos.
Sure.
And they're doing that with their personal
We need to
devices.
provide them a device
We
to
need
do
to
that.
provide that.
okay. All right, we can revisit that. What's your next?
That was it for that section.
Okay. Okay.
Salaries.
All right. Any other questions for that top section of page 2, the governing body? All right, yes, sir, administration.
Okay, this one where it gets a little touchy, so we'll just roll with it. For line 18, administrator, I don't believe know how long we're gonna have an interim, could be a while. At the current hourly rate, we figured that 150 wasn't enough. So we pushed it to 200.
All right. Julie marked that to 200, man.
We'll skip the clerk, and we'll talk about that when we're offline, just for now. For finance, HR, we're gonna have to come back to that one too, because if there's gonna be a personnel change, it doesn't need to be budgeted for an entire year's worth, it needs to be budgeted for how long we think they're gonna be online, if it's necessary.
Right, you're
More
saying.
I mean, I'm looking at a number, I think 35 to 40.
I said, I had 35 on mine, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking about
I'm talking about.
10-4120-180-06.
Correct.
If we put a placeholder there of 35, 40,
I think that gives us some ability to increase the hiring of the position and give us the 90 days for training.
But you still keep the full 74 for the assistant finance?
take it to,
Okay.
take it to 40.
We're taking it to 35 or 40?
Somebody pick.
Take it to 40.
I think 40 is a safer
Take it to 40.
number.
Ms. Dooley.
And what did we do, so, what did we do for, hold on, let me see. Is that the only one that we, so,
No, but some of this, probably administrative. I mean, Pete, you're gonna have to weigh in. Do we need to do it? Do we need to do the administrative portion of the budget in executive session? If we're talking about personnel issues?
While he's thinking about that as well, let me add this comment. I would ask of you through any part of your budget discussions, if we are talking about an employed person of the municipality, that there is a person associated with that line item, I suggest highly that you have those discussions because it's very likely the discussion can get into performance. We need to do that in executive session. If it is a new position and there's no one associated with it, it's fair game. That we could, there's really anything that we could say about that. But we do need to be very cognizant to protect our employees and their confidentiality and that they would have if we're talking about performance. When it's all said and done, we're going to follow FOIA anyway. And so there isn't, nothing's going to get hidden in that. FOIA guidelines will be, you know what those are, I know what those are. The media knows what those are. We'll follow FOIA to make sure that we are disclosing that information. But I really do ask you to consider in executive session discussions, if you're looking at eliminating a position that somebody's currently in, if you're looking at modifying that position or talking about their performance.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I will say, and this sort of came up earlier in the meeting, even though there is not an executive session item on tonight's agenda, if at any time a council member feels it is necessary to go into executive session, a motion can be made to go into executive session for any item that's already on the agenda. We don't have to have executive session stated on the agenda.
Well, I think for this purpose, seeing it's almost 8 o'clock, we can all the salary spots, let's just skip over them and keep moving down the line.
I'm not suggesting we go into executive session right now.
I wasn't going to support it anyway. All right, so, we can talk about the administrator, we can talk about that money's allocated for the administrator.
Yeah.
And the potential new hire.
All right, so then that takes us down to the line, it takes us to 10-41-20-182.
Those are flow-through numbers. They're based on formula
Where you
special
at?
salary.
Where are you?
Yeah, so those will change as the salary.
Oh.
The next line I highlighted was 412310 travel and training, marked at $1 and had some notes. And the notes was, how far in advance does staff schedule training? 6 months out, a year out?
I don't know, but I was not involved in this preparation of travel and training, but I can assure you, by the time we would meet next, I would really like the opportunity to have a conversation with our staff and identify specific training that I think some of our people need to do. And I can get, these are trainings that happen all the time. so I'm gonna take a snapshot. I don't know if you're involved in the Municipal Clerk and Treasurer's Institute. You are. So that is something that I think is absolutely needed and necessary. You want your municipal clerk with that certification. There would be others like that. There are certain trainings that we need to make sure that zoning staff and people have. So conferences and meetings, I don't think we're in a position that we're really able to send folks to Las Vegas for conferences. But I think we have some really good conferences that happen in Columbia, and things that happen in Charleston, and things that happen in Greenville. We may have some things that happen in Atlanta. We have to be smart about where we use those resources. But I would like to be more intentional by going back to our staff and saying, what do you know of this next year that is the most important training you can get? I'm a really large advocate for professional development. We have to be smart about it. We have to use those resources wisely. But training our workforce is how we're going to continue to provide the highest level of service. And so I think I recognize why you're allocating some amount of money, but what you want to know is what does that really need to be? Not necessarily based on prior years, but what we plan to do this next year.
I think that it is safe to say that this current is a rollover of the prior year, which just rolled over 23, but they've only spent 6,300. So it doesn't,
It just doesn't equate.
Yeah. So that's why, again, I want to emphasize to you and everybody else who may listen to this video, $1 doesn't mean that you're going to spend $1.
Right.
$1 opens up conversations, and most of the notes that I've put up inside is bring back a plan or a schedule to council. We got 3 months to do this.
Right.
Rest of April, May, and June. And we can always amend it. But if you can't tell me what trainings you're going to go to, I don't think this body will feel comfortable funding them.
I agree.
Yeah. So I don't want people to think that we're just chopping this down to nothing because maybe we better or something like that. But yeah, we just need a little more clarity.
Message received.
All right. The next one.
Put it at $1. I'm giving directions. I'm giving directions while you.
I got it.
The next one was 41, 20, 250, and 251. They were the PMS fire grant, and then the one below that was matching grants. Again, put them at $1.
Put them at $1.
The 20,000 hasn't been spent this fiscal year. I don't know if you have any plans to do that.
I do.
Okay.
We just kind of derailed right now in that
That's fine.
planning.
Would love to see them, not objecting to it. And if those plans carry over to this upcoming fiscal year, let us know. Matching grants, the note that's currently in there says needs policy, application, et cetera. I think that still applies. I don't think we have a policy. So before we can allocate any funds for that, we need to have a policy. We need to identify grants that we can apply for. So
Put that at $1.
that's why that got knocked, those both got knocked down to $1. The next line item, 260, office supplies, went from 7,500 to 4,000. Only been 1 year where it's actually exceeded $4 grand, so 4,000 seemed like the same number. Furniture is the next item, which is 510. Also put that at $1. Tell us what, my opinion is, tell us what you need. With the new property purchase, we need some new furniture.
I say leave that one out. You know we're going into a new place. You know where the office furniture is going. That's like Mr. Pearman. I already talked with him about cameras and security stuff right there as we begin to move equipment down. So.
I'm not gonna beat you up on furniture. I'm okay. The rest of the body's okay. I mean, we just bought a piece of property. We'll have to put some furniture.
We got to do that. Nope.
Okay, is 4,000 enough? I mean, that's a fair question too.
We'll manage with the 4 if something change or we see something different. Do we have to buy like a refrigerator? I haven't been over there
I haven't
since.
been there.
Yeah, you'll have to buy a refrigerator.
Okay.
What was left? Did she leave any furniture or?
The stove is in the shed. The refrigerator she took, so I don't think we can put the stove back.
Yeah, I'd like to remove the
No, remove the stove.
Yeah,
But
the
we'll
stove
need a
is not in there.
refrigerator, so-
Yeah, there's a hole there, and so a refrigerator.
Yeah.
There was some furniture left, but you just have to walk the house.
Yeah, we'll have some
Yeah,
upfit costs. We're gonna
Sure.
have some upfit costs and some furnishing costs that's there. And we can start that process of getting that. We don't know what it is yet, but there will be some. We just gotta retrofit an existing.
And so is $4,000 enough for furniture?
Furniture's expensive, yeah, it's.
I would probably move as long as,
I can say the mayor and I have not had a conversation, but I know he has had a conversation about how that would be used. And so, you're.
And there's some existing furniture that's gonna move over, but we wanna make it look good, you know. We're moving furniture from a maintenance shed over here to where the general public could come in, and we wanna look like the town. We wanna have pride in our furnishing and equipment. So I would, if it's comfortable of the council, and I think McKendrick, you was going in that direction, or you looking at
I would say,
doubling that?
yeah, I would say put that at 10, and I would encourage us, even though we have a $5,000 cap on what you can go spend, again, bring back a plan. A plan's what we're after, and Mr. Mayor, you alluded to it, that we have a good idea of what we're gonna use that for, but just everybody being on the same page.
In the new resident is fresh. It was just signed today. And,
Yeah,
and
ink's not dry.
Yeah, so.
I would move that we put that at 10 for now.
All right, Ms. Julie.
I got it.
Okay, cool.
Telephone service, my same, and Brock, I'm trying to go back and forth from my notes. What is it gonna cost for us to put phone service over to that? That may not be enough, but again, before the next budget workshop, we can maybe find that out. Phone service, internet service, and copier. Those are three things that would be directly affected by acquiring additional office space.
Mhm. And like you said earlier, the ink isn't dry yet, so to have a full assessment of that building is on the immediate plans. I talked with our maintenance folks last week, kind of gave them heads up on moving it, and you know, we at that point where now it's signed, we know when that closing was, and that's done. So we'll be able to put forth a staffing plan, myself and Ed moving over there. And we'll see what we need. I already had a security assessment over there looking at that building as far as cameras, how many, where to place them, and the internet signal and stuff like that out there. So just we don't have the invoice to say or quote to say it'll cost this much yet. He's working on that.
Next one that I think
All right.
I would recommend to change to would be 371, advertising and marketing. I know we spent 100% of our budget this year, but we also bought a lot of the stuff moving forward. I would reduce that. And I think through my conversations with Brock, I kind of went back and forth there, but I would recommend we reduce that to $5,000.
On the advertising and marketing?
Yes, sir.
Julie,
Julie,
can you share what the typical expenditures are out of that line item?
Well,
I'm wondering, is that what we're paying for banners that go in the kiosks?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
no.
No.
That's
That's why I
only if
wanted
it was
to.
maybe the
Swag
land ordinance
bags.
one came out of planning and zoning, the advertising one above
Oh.
that. This is general marketing, it's our telephone thingies, the little things like this,
Promotional
t-shirts.
Okay, so it's the,
But it's also ads. It's
Swag.
ads for the
Gotcha.
Voice and Chronicle to say congratulations on your state championship, Blythewood High School, or congratulations graduate, just a general advertising.
and that's, even if we need advertisement meetings, that comes out of this one as well.
So we need some accounts, then, what it sounds like. Because I consider advertising either news or social, newspaper, digital, print,
advertising slash marketing.
Okay, then there needs to be a line item for advertising, there needs to be a line item for marketing.
And really, 370, we do some advertising out of. The kiosk banners come out of 370, the zoning
No,
compliance
If
comes out
we're
of
making
370.
a kiosk banner for movies in the park, it goes under movies in the park, which is a hospitality one.
All right, what about the rockin' red, white, and blue banner that goes in the
That
kiosk?
goes out of hospitality because it's rockin' red, white, blue. 235110-373.
Posters for public hearings.
Mm-hmm.
That goes in 370.
Yep, 370,
Planning and
planning and
zoning.
zoning. Yeah, I would stand by that. I would reduce that to $5,000. It was my recommendation, put it at $5,000 for now.
All right. Ms. Julie, make a recommendation. Before we change that, can you get members of council some of those items that come out of this line item, just to show?
Yeah, I think, Mr. Mayor, I think we all got them.
I don't know if y'all asked for advertising.
I don't think so. I don't remember that.
Oh, I was talking about what Jordan gave us. Jordan gave us all swag bags that had all the Blythewood
Other
things in
stuff.
them.
No, I'm
Yeah.
talking about what items, how much we spend, who gets what out of that as far as paid out of it.
So when the staff is getting like T-shirts and all that, does it come out of this budget here?
No, we have a 10412499. Your famous miscellaneous was all the staff uniforms, safety equipment, flowers, staff appreciation. It's that one y'all like so well.
All right, let's,
Miscellaneous.
when you get a chance.
No, I'm saying.
Oh, I didn't know that I was going here.
I'm just saying, email
Okay.
members of council,
Okay,
that line item.
I forgot that I
And
was
we'll
connected up
revisit
there.
that, and then make a note that we'll revisit that in the next budget workshop.
Then due to the property acquired today, I would eliminate 10412425 off-site storage for files.
No, sir. Well, we got a storage facility at Public Storage, that's what that is.
Yeah, we know, but the question.
Why
Can
would we
it
keep
fit in
it?
there?
Well, I put it at $1, just so try to get a better idea of how much longer. We figure we could eliminate it, because if the garage, the detached garage isn't big enough, there's a third floor that you could also use for some storage.
The garage is gonna be maintenance and their equipment that are augmenting them. That upstairs area could be used for that.
Are these archives?
Mm-hmm.
How long do you have
For
to
how
do
many
Yes.
years?
Well, it depends. Financial records have a different life than other types of records.
have a retention
Some of the clerk's records are permanent, that can never be disposed of.
So let us,
The biggest question I have, and I'm not saying that the other facility can't accommodate this, that's just my question, is some of those records have a chain of custody requirement under archives and history. And so the retention schedules that we're given by the state, we have to follow, and some of those have chain of custody requirements. I just would want to make sure that we could adhere to that same chain of custody in this new facility as we could in a locked off-site facility. Maybe we can, I just want to make sure.
Could we take them to state archives?
let us assess that, let us look through that, the storage, let's see what's there.
Can we scan them and put them on the file?
Some documents you can, but not all. Most of your financial documents could be digitized. Clerk's records, not necessarily. Many can, but, minutes, books, and things like that, they have to be the original forms. You can have both, but you can't get rid of the originals.
Let's put a pause on that one. Let's look at what we got. Let's look at the storage unit from a staff level, see what's there, and verify.
Was I supposed to do anything with that?
Just make a note that we're going to assess the,
Storage.
yes, ma'am.
Next line item that was 412311, safety training, 1,500, knocked it down to 1,000. Haven't spent anything in 2 years.
Because we only do it every 2 years. And last year, it was $1,200, and I had only budgeted $750. So
Okay.
I thought it might go up because we have more employees.
Fair enough,
Fair.
fair enough. All right, that one's gone, or back to 1,500. This one, the next one, 412445, annual QB, I don't know what that is.
QuickBooks.
Oh, QuickBooks, oh. I was gonna say, if we get a quarterback for $2,100, that's pretty good.
We do, about 21.
But it's currently scheduled at 52,500.
Y'all are wanting some new software. I didn't know where to start. Because I hadn't gotten anything in particular, so
Okay.
I'd put $50,000 in the budget.
I thought
that's
you
the-
had you were looking at 2 different softwares, so we don't even have a clue as to what they're gonna
I
cost.
haven't had much time to get into
Okay.
any of this stuff.
All right, well, my recommendation would be to put that at $2,500,
I
and that's
agree.
clearly a council decision anyways, because it well exceeds 5,000, and then we can revisit that when we have a better idea. That's the placeholder there.
Am I still understanding that that is a priority?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm
Yes.
understanding.
Yeah.
It is a priority, but we would
It
bring
is a
that back.
priority.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
In conversations with at least 2 members of council, Mr. Driggers, that I expressed, why is this thing doing this? Hang on. I'm not opposed to having budget amendments regular, because there's just a lot of things we don't know right now that may happen 6, 8 months later. So I know you have to have 2 readings.
Well, can I expound on that thought just a moment?
Sure.
What I would actually recommend, instead of doing 2 readings of an ordinance and a public hearing every time that has to happen, I think you may be better served by having dollars set aside in a specific, and I think one of the things that we've called it here in the past is this contingency line item. But a contingency line item may not be spent out, no resources of a contingency may be spent without a majority approval of council.
Prior.
That's written into your budget ordinance.
So you're not amending the budget,
You're
you're
not
just
amending the
approving
budget, you're
spending.
just not allowing expenditure from that line item unless it's approved by a majority of council.
That makes sense.
That, I think, keeps you moving all through the year.
Without 2 readings.
That doesn't
Yes.
require a new ordinance.
Public hearing.
No,
It does not require a new ordinance.
it does not.
And that is just a simple majority, one action, one time?
I mean, you could write it for supermajority. I mean, you could write the language as you choose. The budget ordinance that we've used in the past gives the town administrator the authority to move within funds. Okay? I think that's very important. That's part of managing a budget. But it is not unusual that there's a line item that is reserved for council authority. And so that's why I would recommend, whether it's a contingency line at the very end of the budget or whatever you really do choose to call it. But then when we write the budget ordinance, there's a paragraph that spells that out. It states, these are the rules.
When we approve the initial budget.
Yes, when we pass
That's what
the
I was gonna,
budget-
that's why
Yes.
I turned my mic on
Yes.
to explain
Why
that.
your eyes got
That
big.
needed,
Yes.
yeah, that needed to be written
When
into
we do
the
first
budget ordinance.
reading, public hearing, second reading, that is the language of the budget. And unless you change that language as an amended budget, that's what stands throughout the year.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, next line item, 412375, outside funding request. Move that down to 49,000, and the only change made was Range for Hope, put it at 0 simply because I don't think he came and picked up the check last year, did he?
No.
He got the
Did
check.
we talk
He
Oh,
got
he
about
the
did?
check.
the
He got the check.
miscellaneous account?
Okay,
I
you'll have to,
know.
Yeah, but what?
We'll talk.
okay, I was gonna say, you have to tell me, because
We'll
the
talk.
last time,
We'll-
okay. All right, then, I'm,
Because he actually told us he didn't.
I know.
He said give it to the chamber.
Yeah.
He said give it to him. But he did get it.
He got a check.
all right, I'll put it back. Oh, one other thing, I would change the description for the big grab to the Fairfield Chamber of Commerce. Aren't they the ones that organize that? Is that who we actually write the check to? Yeah, that's what I do. I just
Am
change
I leaving that
description.
at 50,000?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am, leave that at 50.
And then, weren't we talking about moving something to ATAX, Brock?
When we get there, yes.
Okay. So where are you putting that?
Putting what?
That line item?
For the Historical Society?
No, for 10412375.
It didn't change, it would still be 50s.
No?
And you're gonna put the range of hope back.
Yep.
Oops.
Flip the page.
I'm on my computer.
That line item would change to $38,650.
No, that's not what I would do. I would leave it as is, and when we get to SAT,
Okay.
explain. Which we probably won't tonight.
But we put range for hope back in there. Okay.
I just lost a lot.
All right.
Um,
I don't know that I agree with that, but we'll
we can
talk about it when we get
we
there.
can talk about that then. But for now, we were at, yeah.
Alright,
If
so,
he's willing to take, that's fine.
we'll talk.
Last two line items, 550 and 499. 550, both put those at $1 and want to see,
On line item, on 499, I just don't agree with the $31,000 line item for miscellaneous. I just think that's just too much room for error.
But it's, yeah, and there, I don't think we are, Miss Julie, you can chime in here, but by notes, if that is correct, we are actually paying health and wellness out of there?
That was,
That was the child care and
that was the
gym.
child care or a health and wellness benefit that y'all approved last year for us at $500 per employee. It was either gonna be child care credit of $500 per fiscal year or health and wellness, like a gym.
Yeah, I agree, but my point is, that's not miscellaneous, not when we know what we're spending in a category, it's not miscellaneous, it's a line item.
The note I've put on mine is for us to break that out.
Break it out.
Let's break that, and if we need to create some additional chart of accounts, if we need to add a few so that we can designate what those are, let's get those broken out of miscellaneous. I do think you need some dollars in miscellaneous.
Not $31,000.
I don't think you need to go to 1,000, no. I mean, because when you are planning for a year, you're not going to think of everything that can come up.
Correct.
And again, if you keep those dollars smaller, it's, you know, just gives some room to do some moves that need to happen. The larger things, you guys, you folks tell us what you think that number is. If there's an expenditure just gonna be in excess, maybe it's the number that you already have for your purchasing. Anything that's above $5,000, it's gotta come back to council.
With you, 100%, I'm with you. But when we talk about this line item, staff appreciation, this is not where because that was in a line item of its own, where birthday bonuses and Christmas bonuses and Thanksgiving bonus, this is not where that was paid, correct?
Yes, it is.
It is. So again, going through budgeting, I think it's helpful for council to know, just like we talked about in budgeting last year, we want to give an employee the option. Childcare, $500, or a gym membership for $500 because if somebody didn't have a child. So that was a discussion. Council talks about it and we say, you know, we went back and forth on it and it was approved, it was put in the budget. But what we didn't talk about is birthday bonuses and Christmas bonuses and Thanksgiving bonuses that, what differentiates those, Pete? How do we differentiate when we get heartburn when we find out, you know, $9,000 was spent in employee bonuses on a tiered level because some part-time people got less than full-time people, but whatever the case may be, why aren't we talking about those on the same playing field?
Well, if I understand your question, you're asking about the different types of bonuses and
No,
whether,
well, I'm asking about the different types of, why are we talking about a child care and gym membership for an employee, full or part-time? But we're not talking about a birthday bonus or a Christmas bonus to the same level we are a health and wellness bonus.
well, they can be talked about on the same level. I mean, council, in council's will, can provide bonuses and bake them into the budget as determined, or provide those health and wellness benefits as well. I mean, they can all be put into the budget in some way, if I'm understanding the question.
Kind of.
And I may be able to help a little bit. I've given bonuses to employees for years. And to Pete's point in some information that he shared with us, that is perfectly okay if you plan to do it and you've allocated the resources
Correct.
to do that.
That's the basis of my question. So, to back into it, $31,500, is it the intent to give a child care credit, a gym membership credit, a birthday bonus, a Christmas bonus, a Thanksgiving bonus, an Easter bonus, a Valentine's? What is in there?
What I think I think that is the real question.
But no, that is my question.
Yeah,
So,
but there are other things in there other than that.
there
So
are.
we have to break it out.
Break it out. So, Mr. Mayor, is it the intent to give the same bonus structure that you gave this year in '26?
Well, we're here in the will of the council. My goal is to, number one, keep the child care gym membership pieces. That's been, I think, how many staff use that? Just like
14 full-time.
Yeah.
There's
so,
14 full-time
yeah.
this coming up year.
Yep. So staff is using that, and that offers us some form of benefit to keep them active and engaged, and even though the ones that use childcare has been well received. My goal is to do that, and if we need to break that into a different line item, let's go ahead and put that in another line item.
Yeah, and certainly not arguing about that because we approved that last year.
And then for your other part of your question, if the council wants to give a bonus, I've been the same way since I've been on council. I support staff, I support the bonuses. If the will of the council is to come up with a bonus, then here's the time to do it at the point where it pleases council.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to drill down on my question a little bit because I think it really is important for me in my vote on this budget. We didn't approve those bonuses last year and they were given. So if council does not approve them again we weren't even asked. So if we move on, I think my question is it your intent to bonus employees outside of council's approval?
So to answer your question, I'm going to answer it like this. If you put it in here, employees will get it. If you don't, employees won't. The only thing, and to that point, Councilman, I done what was seen and done in previous years from the past administrations on how they done things. Ma'am.
I'm sorry.
So I would ask, and I hope I'm not putting Ms. Julie on the line here, in the past, in administrations, you've been here for a while. I know Kurt's been here. I think y'all kind of like neck and neck in time. Past mayors, how have they done the bonuses?
I don't think we've gotten any bonuses.
Right, never.
So that was the first time.
Right.
So, yeah. Yep.
So, and really, I mean, and we got to get here in the budget. We're going to have to tackle questions like this.
Well,
So we got the structure, so the structure is here. So if council wants to, say, hey, we'll give $100 bonus, here's the time to put it in.
Correct.
But not necessarily. Going back to what Mr. Trigger said we can decide to fund it out of contingency at any time we want, so we don't have to put it in.
Well, that may be the
Not-
exception.
not with that.
That
That
is
is
the
the
exception. That is,
Okay, fair enough.
based on Pete's
Yes,
opinion.
There's a different definition in
100%.
state law for extra compensation. An extra compensation has to be accompanied by
Yeah.
consideration, meaning plan for it, or if there's gonna be extra compensation, there's gotta be extra work for that extra compensation.
So how do you deal with a wrong? And I'm using the word wrong. The mayor's saying, you know, I'm doing what past administrations have done. I don't believe that to be the case. We paid bonuses in this budget that weren't budgeted for, that had to be voted on by council. How do you write that? I don't think sweeping it under the rug writes it.
I don't know that I'm the right person to answer that question.
I think the way that you do that, I think if you choose to give bonuses, you may give bonuses. But you have to specify what the bonuses are for, why they are getting them.
As a council or as an
I think it
individual?
has to be spelled out in the budget, either in a line item or in a paragraph of the budget.
Right, which is
And
wh-
it has to be identified.
Which is why I'm in here, because you can call it childcare and gym membership, health and wellness. That's a bonus that is voted on to give an employee. That's not tax.
Because it's reimbursement for something that.
Yeah,
we
that's
bought.
actually a reimbursement, and it's a little bit different under the IRS code. You know, the dollar amounts for us have not been so substantial that I think that it rises above the IRS level, that someone would say, hey, you should be W-2ing this bonus, because our amounts have been pretty small. And I don't think we've been doing that. I don't think that we've been adding that as additional
They've
income.
been taxed, right? They're taxed, right?
We have not, and I've talked to our CPA, and any bonus given in this calendar year will be put into our income.
Yeah, but the threshold's like $700. Anything under that, you're not required.
Right.
One time,
Well,
because we're over that.
it just can't.
No, we're over that.
Well, once you exceed it, it should show up on the W-2.
So,
Yeah,
so
you got a $500 Christmas bonus, a birthday bonus,
If
a
it exceeds,
Thanksgiving, a
yep,
Valentine,
when it
whatever.
passes the threshold, it's the full amount.
So have we,
I
this
do
is a
not
question
believe
for Ms. Julie.
I don't believe we have.
Ms. Julie,
I think on the $500 ones, yeah, I think we have.
Ms. Julie, question for you when you're done. No, question for you. So the accountant, have we let our employees know that their W-2 is bulked up by what bonuses they've received?
Last year, because I asked her to do 1099s. She would not do 1099.
You wouldn't do both, you can't, right, you wouldn't do
Right,
both.
because she had already, it was under the threshold. So this year, she said, if you want, at the end of the year, you can send me a spreadsheet prior to W-2s being sent out, and everyone who's gotten the bonus, we will add it to their income,
Gotcha,
to
okay.
their wages.
So,
Because we just have an obligation
Sure.
to report it correctly.
100%.
I mean, that's just one of those that we don't get to choose whether to report it under the IRS guidelines or not.
So
We're gonna
it's
follow
$700.
the guidelines.
So it's $700.
I think that's the number.
So
It's
Maybe
600.
So
oh, it's six. Okay.
600, 1099, I mean, that's,
Okay.
yeah, so a $500 Christmas bonus, a $100 birthday bonus, a Thanksgiving bonus, whatever other kind of bonus, that's clearly over $600.
And we will have to report.
And you'll report, okay.
Yeah, and so I just think that with the miscellaneous, I just certainly, you know, I think it needs a breakdown. I think it needs a very specific breakdown. And if council voted on, I don't know, childcare and gym, I think we should have voted, or at least had a discussion on bonuses. I think that was inappropriate.
And we can
very
certainly break this out, and you can look at those line items and say yes or no. Certainly.
So we're gonna put that one in $1 until we can figure out how to break these out, is that?
Well, I think we'll go ahead and break that out.
Break it out, break it out.
You know, it's kind of hard for me to interpret what you think is something you would want to do and not want to do. The best thing that I can do is put it in, and then if you choose to take it out, just take it out. Or I can leave it 0 and you could add it if you wanted to put it in. I mean, it works either way.
All right, so let's make sure we recap this so that Julie has clear direction. The body up here is more of an agreement to take the child care gym, put that in a separate line item.
Yes.
Okay. The other portions of that bonuses, you want to put that in a separate line item and put $1. And then put in there where council feels that Christmas bonus, that's it, but $1 line item is there to hold it, and then discuss that as the holidays come about, what council would like to do.
So here's, I guess, Mr. Mayor, if it's never been done before, and then you did it without council knowledge, much less approval, then now you've got staff out there expecting it,
So
but it was never brought to us. So when you say, do we want to put it out there and put $1 next to it? I mean, I can't speak for the rest of council. I'm just like, okay, so we're giving $500 child care, $500 Christmas bonus, however the amount was for Thanksgiving, birthday. I mean.
But again, we can't put $1 beside a bonus line item in the compensation part of the budget. We have to spell that out. It's like saying, I think your work is worth $80,000 this year, but I'll let you know. No, you gotta say what somebody's salary is. We can do it in other parts of the budget, but you cannot do it above the salary line item. You have to spell it out.
Question,
Correct.
could a fixed dollar amount, let's just make it easy and say $100. So if you got 14 people, it'd be $1,400. You could budget for that, but could we not write in the budget that those funds cannot be expensed without an approval of council? Sure. There'd be an exception. That way, we can always budget for it, but then we don't have to approve it if we didn't want to. But then we don't have to.
Can you take it away as easy as you can get it?
Can we add it to the salary line? Would make more sense.
No, that's not a guarantee. If you add it to the salary line, wouldn't that almost be like guaranteeing it? That's putting it.
Well,
That's
then you're
kind of
obligated to
putting
pay.
it. Yeah, you're
But
obligated.
that's what it's gonna come out of eventually,
Say that again?
You do a trend.
right? At the end, when they put it in your W-2 and everything? Question?
All right, let's do this.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to take this matter into executive session, give it some thought as to how do we want to look at this piece. The other part, I would say, given that it's after 8:15, I would like to utilize the next 10 minutes to plan out our next meetings and have a stopping place here. So I would like to make that motion.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. You read my mind on that. My motion made, be looking for a second. Did y'all, okay. Did you hear the motion? No.
Future.
Future.
Well, no, we
Yeah.
don't,
Well-
we don't need to make a motion because there is a,
Well,
we
we can close, yeah.
We don't have another meeting scheduled.
No, that's what we finna do.
That's what we need
All
to
right,
do.
all right, let's do this. You'll rescind your motion? She made a motion.
Yeah, I made a motion for us to identify additional dates in order to go through the rest of the budget, as well as a date for executive session in
Yeah.
regards to talk about administrative staff and
So-
income.
Yeah,
M-
so you
Mr.
don't
Mayor?
have to make a,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, you don't have to make a motion. It's on the next item. We can just close this discussion on this page, and then we'll move to the next item where we will discuss the next scheduling dates.
And then, Mr. Mayor, before we move on, communicated to staff that this council isn't sitting up here trying to figure out how to take money from them. I'm not at all sure what, and I say we, it's council, this is a budget, we get financial statements. What has happened in our financial statement this year, I'm very certain is inappropriate, if not borderline illegal. And it is surrounding bonuses that were unilaterally given out. So we're not nickel and diming our staff. I want that communicated to the staff. But we have to get it right. Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. So we will, Ms. Julie, before I close this, we closed out on page 3.
I wanted to ask two
Yes, ma'am.
questions. The equipment line, did you say it went to $1 and miscellaneous $1? Or
Yes,
the
ma'am.
equipment
What-
1 and miscellaneous leave, because we're gonna do it out?
Let's leave those right now. Let's
Okay.
expand on those line items and get more explanations for the
Okay.
council. And then we'll pick up, so the next meeting, council, we will pick up on page 3.
Right.
Hold on, man. Line item 550. The equipment line we'll pick up right there. 1041, 2550.
No, I was just saying, right, you're right.
Okay,
And
yes,
then,
ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, in that, Ms. Julie and Ms. Durst, can we find out what revenue has been generated from the service we're using on business license? Have they started reporting to us? And if so, can we get a report on what we've generated from that?
Yes, sir, they have started reporting to us. They reported in March, and they have reported for April. Yes.
Okay.
And we have collected from Centers $16,000, and we pay half of that to HDL, and we have collected from Hallmark about $500, and we pay half of that to HDL. We have a list of about 24 businesses that actually owe us money from 22, 23, and 24. And then they have to get the current 25 license.
And do we have a balance of what that totals? And not off the top of your head, obviously.
Let's
that's
not
not
give
part
those
of-
revenue
so-
figures here,
Okay.
please.
So-
I could send you a copy
That'd be great,
of what
because that's
they
gonna
sent
affect
me.
our revenue and our budget, because they're for business license, so.
So, Councilman McKendrick, to that point, in the meetings, just like the budget sheet, I seen the first one, what was it, maybe a couple days ago, the first layout with Centos. So in the future meetings, just like the budget sheets you get, you're gonna get an update from that in the normal meetings. But you'll get one before we do another budget workshop, okay?
Just so that there's good clarity on that, under state statute, under the business license ordinances, we cannot disclose an individual business and their revenue that calculates their business license.
Correct.
So that has to be a cumulative summary report, because we can't say business XYZ had
Paid
$1,700,000 in sales. We cannot disclose that. under
But
state statute.
my point is the cumulative result of that third party is going to affect
Yes.
both inside and outside Blythewood business license.
Absolutely, and we can report, again, the cumulative numbers of what
So,
that
yeah,
is,
that's
what our
what I meant.
revenues are.
Correct.
We just can't associate them to a
Absolutely.
specific business.
Wicked. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we understand the recap of where we gonna pick up at as a council.
Yeah.
Cool, to my Councilman McKendrick,
I'm
Councilwoman
good.
Fripp, y'all good? Okay. All right, to staff, are y'all good? Okay, all right. And to my staff, next budget meeting, so you're gonna get dates in a little bit for the next one, I promise you. All right, we're moving on to action item A, discussion and possible action to schedule additional future budget workshops, including setting dates and times. All right, so let's pull out these phones and calendars. Do y'all want to do the next one the week of the 20th, or you want to tackle next week? next week is spring break, so I forgot, I'm sorry. Next week is spring break. Enjoy your spring break with family and kids.
I mean, spring break actually works. I would not, the later part of the week of the 20th, 21st, I would not be available. So if it's earlier in the week, and then we also have our regularly scheduled meeting on the 21st, am I correct in that?
28th, that next Monday.
So,
So are y'all good with the first part of the week? Does that look good?
What, the 21st?
21st, 22nd, and 23rd, ma'am?
no.
Just
not
21st, 22nd?
The 22nd.
22 also looks good for me, Mr. Mayor.
22 is good on this side of the table. What about
22.
Councilwoman Fripp, good? 22, Councilman McKendrick?
I would be good with 20, probably 23 over 22, but I could move some stuff.
Can't do 23. Not that
All right, leave it on 22.
Okay, all right, so our next meeting, Ms. Durst.
Can we do 21? What's 21 look like?
What's 21 look like for everybody?
I'm good.
Is our facility?
And I know we have a meeting, but we could do it,
the bar, and the BZA?
we could do it after then, because they normally don't meet long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe we're gonna have anything for the BCA, but we do have an item already for the BAR.
Okay.
Scheduled at 5:30 on the 21st.
Let's leave it on the 22nd. I'll move mine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
We could just, if they're meeting at 5:30, we could just meet at 6.
Can you do it in 30 minutes?
Well, if they don't have anything, oh, I thought you said you
I
had.
wouldn't do that one. We got caught the last.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't have any.
Yeah, we-
Okay, my fault.
So McKendrick, you sure about the 22nd?
Yeah, but you don't, if I'm not, y'all won't need me, I'm good. I'll try to move it.
Okay.
5:45?
And if we need to delay the time, just let us know.
We're saying the same time, 5:45?
On the
And y'all wanna do
22nd?
6 o'clock? Okay. 5:45?
Wait a minute, did I miss something? So the BAR is meeting on the 21st?
First.
But you have agenda items
One.
to talk about?
One.
One. So y'all don't think
No, we don't wanna piggyback.
afterward?
We,
Okay.
You know, I mean, if you wanted to do 6:30, I would hope that this particular item would,
Oh.
but, I mean,
yeah.
I'm fine with Tuesday. I'll make it work.
All right, so April 22nd at 5:45. All right, do y'all want to go ahead and schedule another one?
I would.
Okay, what's your proposal, sir?
28th. I would say the week of the 12th.
May?
Week of the 11th of May.
May 12th?
I can do the 12th or the 14th.
When is your regular meeting in May?
26?
26.
No, 27.
No, it's
That's Memorial
27,
Day.
it's the day after,
27.
27.
Okay. Because I didn't find that published, that's why I was.
Yeah.
That'll
All
be
right.
your first reading
Yep,
of your budget ordinance.
Yeah, so we've got
First
it.
reading will be scheduled then for May 27th.
So we have to
Yeah.
get
Councilman Kennedy, did you say May 14th?
May 14th.
That's a good day for me.
all right, so May 14th, is that good?
Is that good for you?
You off on that day? All right, let's do this then. We know we're gonna schedule more, let's do this. Let's go ahead and wait until the 22nd meeting, and then we can pick up on those other ones.
And Mr. Mayor, on that, are we one person can't cancel a meeting that this council votes on. Are we clear on that now?
Is that,
I
that's
think I
not,
sent something out on that the other day.
I just want to make sure,
I think
because
I
if
sent it-
council votes on it and the mayor cancels it, then where are we?
I think I sent something on that to the group the other day as far as,
I just am verifying that everybody here agrees that,
Okay, we're good. I just want to agree and move on. I'm trying to
No,
gather in and be a.
I'm with you, but we've got to get 2 more budget workshops
I
in.
know, sir, and that, we just tried to get 2 dates, and with respect to Ms. Page, would
I
May
don't want-
14th works for you?
I'm clarifying a meeting of council cannot be canceled without a vote of council. Mr. Mayor, are we clear on that?
I don't know if this is the time to really go into that point.
Well, seeing how we're
There's a
getting ready
point
to
of-
vote on a meeting, it would be the time to go into that.
We're finna vote on the meeting, Councilman McKendrick. Let's just vote
Why
on
are
the
you
meeting.
threatened by a question?
I am
come
not
on.
threatened by a question, sir.
Jesus.
I am working collectively as the group trying to horn in meetings. I'm going to sidestep your question because Ms. Page just said May 14th work. Does May the 14th work for everyone else at this table?
Mr. Mayor, I'll just make this very simple. I'll make a motion to schedule a special call meeting for the town of Blythewood for a budget work session number 2 on April 22nd at 5:15 at Deco Manor.
Okay.
And we will schedule meetings.
5:45.
5:45.
5:40, did I say that? What did I say? Sorry, 5:45.
Yes, sir. Motion made to schedule the next budget workshop 4/22, 4/22, 25 at 5:45 for the next budget workshop. Be looking for a second.
Second.
Second made, any discussion? Hearing no discussion.
Mr. Mayor?
You
point
want a
of
roll
discussion.
call?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have a question for you on discussion. How does this meeting get canceled if it does?
Councilman McKendrick, I'm going to sidestep your
Of course,
question.
'cause-
I want to move on with this.
Why? Answer the question. Pete, how does this meeting get canceled?
I would suggest that the motion be made that the meeting cannot be canceled unless by a majority vote of council. Maybe that takes care of it.
You accept that friendly? It's accepted. Is there a second on that?
I do every damn meeting that way.
All right, second made. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, ma'am.
Councilwoman Page,
Yes.
Councilman Brock,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fripp,
Yes.
Councilman McKenrick.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Can we not make a motion to meet on the 14th?
I just want to get the first meeting on the books and we can talk about it then.
All right, can we all agree to try to keep the 14th open? My calendar fills up like nobody's business.
Yeah, that's a gentleman's agreement, sure.
I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Looking for a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by